Billionaire CEO disguised as homeless man to test fiancée. She failed, then met her replacement. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Romance Rewind Stories. Before we dive into today's incredible story, I have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying these heartwarming tales, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads. It's quick, it's free, and it's the best way to support us in bringing you more emotional romance stories. And here's something I'd love to know. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I always enjoy seeing our amazing community from around the world. Oh, and if this story touches your heart, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps us grow and reach more people who love these kinds of tales. Now, let's get into today's story. Billionaire CEO disguised as homeless man to test fiancée. She failed, then met her replacement. Ridge Whitmore had everything. At 38, he was CEO of Whitmore Global, worth $14 billion, drove cars that cost more than most houses, and wore suits that required 3 fittings. He also had a fiancée, Victoria Laurent, a stunning socialite he'd been dating for 18 months and engaged to for 6. But something had been bothering him for weeks. A nagging feeling that Victoria loved his wealth more than she loved him. The way she only touched him when photographers were present. The way she talked about their wedding as a networking opportunity. The way she'd never once asked about his day unless it involved a business deal that affected their social standing. His best friend Marcus had been blunt. "She's marrying your bank account, man, not you." Ridge wanted to prove Marcus wrong. Desperately. Which is how he found himself standing outside the 5-star restaurant where he'd planned to surprise Victoria for lunch, wearing clothes he'd borrowed from a homeless shelter, his face covered in makeup to look dirty and weathered, his expensive watch and phone locked in his car. He looked and smelled like someone who'd been living on the streets for months. The plan was simple. Approach Victoria as a homeless man, asking for help, see how she reacted, then reveal himself and laugh about the whole thing. Maybe she'd be angry at first, but then they'd laugh together, and he'd know for certain that she loved him for who he was, not what he had. That's not what happened. Ridge shuffled toward the restaurant entrance, hunched and limping slightly for effect. Through the glass, he could see Victoria already seated at their usual table, looking stunning in a designer dress, checking her phone with a bored expression. He pushed through the door, and immediately the hostess's expression changed from welcoming to disgusted. "Sir, you can't be in here. This is a private establishment." "I just need—" Ridge started, intentionally slurring his words slightly. "Out, now, before I call security. Please, I'm hungry, I just need—" Victoria looked up from her phone, her eyes landing on Ridge. For a moment, he thought he saw recognition. But no, it was just disgust. She didn't recognize him at all under the makeup and borrowed clothes. "Oh my God!" Victoria said loudly, attracting the attention of nearby diners. "Is that a homeless person? In here? How did security let that happen?" Ridge's heart sank, but he pushed forward with the test. He shuffled toward her table. "Miss, please, I haven't eaten in days. Just a few dollars for—" "Get away from me!" Victoria shrieked, actually recoiling. "You're filthy! Don't come near me!" "I'm sorry. I just—" "Security!" Victoria's voice went shrill. "Someone call security! This vagrant is harassing me!" 2 security guards appeared, grabbing Ridge roughly by the arms. "Please," Ridge said, keeping character but feeling sick inside. "I'm a human being. I just need help." "Human beings don't smell like garbage and interrupt people's lunches," Victoria said coldly, pulling out her phone to film. "This is going on social media. The nerve of these people thinking they can just waltz into decent establishments. You chose to be homeless. Live with the consequences." "Victoria," Ridge started, almost breaking character. "How do you know my name?" Her eyes narrowed with fear. "Are you stalking me? Oh my God, you're stalking me!" She turned to the guards. "He knows my name. He's been following me. Call the police." "I'm not—" Get him out of here before I sue this restaurant for allowing vagrants to harass paying customers." The guards dragged Ridge out roughly, throwing him onto the sidewalk outside. He hit the concrete hard, his palms scraping painfully. As he sat there, stunned and hurt, a voice said quietly, "Are you okay?" Ridge looked up to find a young woman kneeling beside him. She was probably late 20s, wearing scrubs that suggested she was a nurse or medical professional, with kind eyes and genuine concern on her face. "I saw what happened through the window," she said. "That was cruel. Are you hurt?" Ridge started, then stopped. This woman thought he was actually homeless. And unlike Victoria, she was treating him like a human being. "I'm okay, just bruised. Here." She pulled out a $20 bill. "It's all the cash I have on me, but there's a shelter 3 blocks north that serves lunch. They're good people. They'll help you. You don't have to." "I know I don't have to. I want to." She pressed the money into his hand. "Everyone deserves kindness, especially when the world is cruel." "Thank you," Ridge said, genuinely moved. "What's your name?" "Ember. Ember Stone. I work at City General Hospital Pediatric Ward. If you ever need medical attention, come find me. We treat everyone, regardless of ability to pay." "You're very kind. I'm just human. Take care of yourself, okay?" Ember stood, squeezed his shoulder gently, and walked away. Ridge sat there for a long moment, clutching the $20, his mind reeling. His fiancée, the woman he'd planned to marry in 3 months, had called security, threatened to call the police, and filmed him for social media mockery, while a complete stranger had offered him money, kindness, and genuine concern. He stood slowly, walked back to his car in the parking garage, and called his lawyer. "Cancel the wedding. End my relationship with Victoria Laurent. Do it immediately." Then he went home, showered off the makeup and borrowed clothes, and started researching Ember Stone. 2 days later, Ridge showed up at City General Hospital in one of his usual tailored suits, looking every inch the billionaire CEO. He asked for the pediatric ward and was directed to the 4th floor. He found Ember sitting at the nurse's station, filling out paperwork, her hair pulled back in a ponytail, looking tired but focused. "Excuse me," Ridge said. "I'm looking for Ember Stone." She looked up, and her eyes widened slightly. "That's me. Can I help you?" "I'm Ridge Whitmore. I'd like to make a donation to your pediatric ward in appreciation for the kindness one of your nurses showed me recently." "Ridge Whitmore? The billionaire? Wow. Our development office is on the 2nd floor. They handle donations. I'd prefer to give the donation directly. $5 million to upgrade your equipment, expand your ward, and establish a fund for families who can't afford treatment. But first, I need to talk to you about something personal." Ember stood, her professional mask slipping into confusion. "Mr. Whitmore, I don't understand. 2 days ago, you gave $20 to a homeless man outside Antonio's restaurant. You offered him help, kindness, and dignity. Do you remember?" Understanding dawned in Ember's eyes. "That was you? Why would a billionaire pretend to be homeless?" "To test my fiancée, to see if she loved me or my money. She failed spectacularly. You, a complete stranger, passed without even knowing there was a test. Can we talk? Privately?" They went to the hospital cafeteria, found a quiet corner, and Ridge told her everything. About his doubts regarding Victoria, about the test, about Victoria's cruel reaction versus Ember's kindness. "So you broke up with her?" Ember asked. "Immediately. Called my lawyer from my car. The engagement is over, the wedding is cancelled, and Victoria is currently losing her mind on social media because she can't understand why I dump her." "She doesn't know about the homeless test?" "No. I just told her we weren't compatible. But Ember, watching her reaction, seeing her cruelty versus your compassion, it made me realize I've been settling. Accepting a relationship based on convenience and social expectation rather than real connection. I'm sorry you had to learn that way. But Mr. Whitmore, why are you telling me this? We don't know each other." Because in 5 minutes of interaction, you showed me more genuine humanity than Victoria showed in 18 months. Because I can't stop thinking about the way you knelt beside someone you thought was homeless and treated them with dignity. Because I'd like to get to know you better, if you're willing. Ember sat back, studying him carefully. Let me get this straight. You broke up with your socialite fiancé 2 days ago, and now you're asking out the nurse who gave you $20 when you were pretending to be homeless? That's a lot. Too much? Definitely too much. Mr. Whitmore, Ridge, please. Ridge, I appreciate the donation to our ward. That will genuinely help a lot of sick children. But I'm not interested in being your rebound relationship or your social experiment in dating normal people. I'm sure you're a good person under the billions of dollars, but I don't date billionaires, as a rule. Why not? Because our worlds are too different. I work 60-hour weeks for $55,000 a year. I drive a car with 200,000 miles. I rent a studio apartment with a Murphy bed. You live in a completely different reality. And I've seen what happens when those realities collide. Someone always gets hurt, and it's usually the person with less money and less power. What if I could prove those different realities don't matter? What if I could show you that connection is about character, not bank accounts? How would you prove that? Ridge thought for a moment. Give me 30 days. No expensive restaurants, no gifts, no displays of wealth. Just time together as two people. Let me take you to places you choose, doing activities you enjoy, at a budget you're comfortable with. If after 30 days you still think our worlds are too different, I'll walk away. But Ember, I think you might be surprised. Why are you pushing this? You don't even know me. Because everyone else in my life wants something from me. Money, connections, status. You gave me $20 when you thought I was homeless and had nothing to offer you in return. That's rare. That's precious. And I'd be an idiot not to see if there's something more there. Ember was quiet for a long moment. Finally, she said, 1 month, but Ridge, no expensive anything. We date like normal people. And if at any point this becomes about your money or your status, I'm out. Deal. Their first date was at a food truck festival, Ember had suggested. Ridge showed up in jeans and a t-shirt, probably still expensive brands, but at least not a suit. And they spent 3 hours trying different foods, talking about everything from childhood dreams to current frustrations. Tell me about being a pediatric nurse, Ridge said, as they sat on a park bench eating Korean tacos. It's heartbreaking and beautiful in equal measure. I watch kids fight battles they shouldn't have to fight. I watch families sacrifice everything for their children's health. But I also watch miracles happen. Watch kids who weren't supposed to survive ring the bell when they finish treatment. That makes the hard days worth it. Is that why you gave money to someone you thought was homeless? Because you see people struggling every day? Or maybe I just think everyone deserves basic dignity. Ridge, can I ask you, why did you really test Victoria? Was there a specific moment that made you doubt her? Ridge was quiet, then nodded. 3 months ago, we were at a charity gala for homeless services. Victoria spent the entire night complaining about how those people should just get jobs instead of relying on handouts. When I suggested that homelessness is often about mental illness, addiction, or circumstances beyond control, she laughed and said I was being naive. That's when I started wondering if she had any compassion at all. And you stayed engaged to her for 3 more months. Fear of being alone. Fear of admitting I'd made a mistake. Fear that maybe she was right and I was naive for believing people deserved help regardless of circumstances. He looked at Ember directly. You proved she was wrong. That compassion isn't naive. It's necessary. Over the next month, they dated like Ember had insisted. Normal activities, reasonable budgets, real conversation. They went to free museum days, cooked dinner together in her tiny apartment, took walks in the park, watched movies on her laptop since she didn't have a TV. And somewhere in the simplicity, Ridge fell in love. Not with status or appearances, but with Ember's kindness, her strength, her absolute refusal to treat him differently because of his wealth. You know what I love about you? Ridge said one evening. They were in her apartment, eating takeout Thai food straight from the containers. You've never once Googled my net worth or asked about my house or tried to change plans to include expensive things. You treat me like I'm just a person. You are just a person who happens to have a lot of money, but that's not who you are. Ridge, money doesn't define character. Your choices do, and you've chosen to spend the last month eating food truck tacos and watching old movies on a Murphy bed when you could be at fancy restaurants and penthouse suites. That tells me more about you than any bank statement. I love you, Ridge said. The words surprised them both. Ember set down her container. We've only been dating a month, I know. But I've spent 18 months with someone who didn't care about me beyond what I could provide. 1 month with you has been more real than that entire relationship. You make me laugh. You challenge me. You remind me there's more to life than profit margins. I love you, Ember. And I'm not asking you to say it back. I just needed you to know. Tears filled Ember's eyes. I love you too. Which terrifies me because we still have all these complications. Your wealth, my job, the reality that we're from completely different worlds. Worlds we've successfully bridged for the past month. Ember, I don't want to go back to the world where people only see my money. I want to stay in this world where you see me, where we eat takeout and watch old movies and talk about things that actually matter. Can we do that? Can we build something real despite, or maybe because of, the differences? Yes, Ember whispered. But Ridge, you need to know. I'm never going to be the socialite wife who attends galas and cares about high society. I'm always going to be the nurse who works long shifts and comes home exhausted and prefers food trucks to 5-star restaurants. Good. Because I'm never going to be the CEO who values appearances over substance. I'm always going to be the guy who respects your work, supports your choices, and occasionally pretends to be homeless to test people's character. Ember laughed through tears. Please don't do that again. You gave me a heart attack when I realized it was you. Deal. No more homeless disguises, though I reserve the right to dress down occasionally just to avoid being recognized. 6 months later, Ridge proposed. Not at a fancy restaurant or exotic location, but in Ember's apartment during their regular Friday movie night. Ember Stone, he said, getting down on one knee beside her Murphy bed. You gave $20 to a stranger when you had very little to give. You showed me what real kindness looks like. You've loved me for who I am, not what I have. Will you marry me? Yes, Ember said immediately. But Ridge, I have one condition. Name it. Butune. When we tell the story of how we met, we tell the whole truth. How you were testing your fiancée and she failed spectacularly. How I had no idea you were a billionaire. How you pursued me because I treated a homeless person like a human being. All of it. No sanitized version for society's benefit. Why? Because that story matters. It reminds people that how we treat those with less power, less money, less status, that's who we really are. Your ex-fiancée showed her true character when she thought you were powerless. I want people to know that. Done. We tell the truth. Always. Their wedding was smaller than Ridge's original planned wedding with Victoria would have been, but infinitely more meaningful. Half the guests were Ember's colleagues from the hospital. The other half were Ridge's business associates who'd been shocked by his sudden engagement to a nobody. During the reception, one of those associates, a woman who'd been friends with Victoria, approached Ember with obvious condescension. So, you're the nurse who stole Ridge from Victoria. How did you manage that? What's your secret? Ember smiled calmly. I didn't steal anything. Ridge made a choice based on character. Victoria failed a test she didn't know she was taking. I passed one I didn't know existed. The secret? Treating people with dignity regardless of their circumstances. You should try it sometime. The woman sputtered, and Ridge appeared, wrapping an arm around Ember. Everything okay here? Perfect, Ember said. Just explaining to your friend that kindness is free and character matters more than status. I think she's having trouble processing that concept." Ridge grinned. "She's not alone. Turns out a lot of people in my world struggle with that. Good thing I found someone who doesn't." Years later, when people asked how they met, Ridge and Ember always told the full story about the homeless disguise, Victoria's cruelty, Ember's $20, and the revelation that changed everything. "The best decision I ever made," Ridge would say, "was testing my fiancée's character. The second best was recognizing real kindness when I found it. And I learned," Ember would add, "that sometimes the homeless guy on the street is actually a billionaire. But more importantly, I learned that it shouldn't matter. We should treat everyone with dignity, billionaire or beggar, because we're all just humans trying to survive. And kindness costs nothing but means everything. Because sometimes pretending to be homeless to test your fiancé backfires spectacularly, but leads you exactly where you need to be. Sometimes the cruelest rejection becomes the greatest blessing. And sometimes a $20 bill given with genuine compassion is worth more than all the billions in the world, because it reveals the kind of person who sees humanity instead of circumstances and chooses kindness when it would be easier to look away. And that's where our story ends today. What did you think? Did Ridge and Ember's story of testing character and finding real love touch your heart? Let us know in the comments what your favorite moment was. If you enjoyed this story, we have so many more waiting for you. Check out our playlist for more heartwarming romance tales that will make you believe in love all over again. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Your support means everything to us. Until next time, keep believing in love, keep believing in second chances, and remember, the best stories are the ones that remind us we all deserve our happily ever after. See you in the next story.